this is Dr. Anita with another diamond moment. Diamonds are produced through time, heat, and pressure. The things that we encounter in our lives have the unique ability to create in us value that we never, ever considered. As we evaluate where we've been, taking into consideration who we are and where we want to go, we are again at a place for making a decision for ourselves. We are in the preparation, if you're listening to me in real time, to enter a new year. We have a few weeks left in the month of December, but in that time, rather than getting caught up in the gift giving season, shopping and material things of that nature, taking some time to consider and to look into ourselves. That expression that says, to thine own self be true. Looking into who you really are, what you really want to do, where you are in life, what the reality is. Is it all good or maybe not quite so good? Are there areas of your life where you could extend more effort? Are there areas of your life that have come to a close and the effort needs to be ceased? Those are the type things that we have to look at in terms of being true to ourselves, true to who God, Creator, Source, the Spirit has created us to be, and removing the consideration of someone else's opinion on what we should do or how we should live our lives. One other thing to consider in this is how your ego affects the choices that you make. Are you willing to say, I made a mistake, let me relinquish this stand and move on? Or are we so entrenched in our egoic state that we are not willing to admit, I made a mistake, I need to turn around, I need to let this go, I need to go back to who I innately am and be able to move forward from that point in this new year to where I want to be. When we understand that everyone is given the same amount of time, it's what you do with your time that counts. Are you utilizing the days of your life going on with what somebody else decided that you should do? Or are you utilizing the days of your life being true to who you are? Once we evaluate those questions, consider them and delve deeply into them, then we have to be willing to forgive. Forgiving ourselves as well as forgiving others. We have to have the courage to think our own thoughts and to be willing to stand for those things that we were designed to do. A lot of times we have to overcome obstacles, the challenges that have been placed before us, challenges that sometimes others position there purposely to stop us. We have to be willing and have the courage enough to say, I forgive myself for having allowed this to waylay me for the time. And I forgive the other person who positioned this in my life so that I can be free to be true to myself. One of the things that I hope that you will focus on in the upcoming year is really accomplishing your hopes, your dreams, your desires. Removing any type of excuses that you might have for someone else's desires for you that do not fit your own belief for yourself. Allowing them to be exactly who they are and you be exactly who you are. So we're going to go back to those areas of forgiveness. Forgiving the other person for who they are and forgiving ourselves for allowing their influence in our lives in the first place. Many times we're living lives in which we should have just said no. What did Nancy Reagan say? Just say no. Sometimes we should have just said no. But because we were considering another person, We went along with a plan and a program that we never wanted to be on, that actually we never should have been on, and therefore we've suffered for that. Because of that suffering, we have to be willing to forgive ourselves and also to allow this to become one of the diamonds in our lives. We have to allow ourselves to say, if I had it to do over again, I would not do this. If I had it to do over again, I would make a different decision. Once we reach the place of understanding, if I had it to do over again, I'd make a different decision. When we get to that point, Scripture says, to whom much is given, much is required. What that actually means is when you get it, you're responsible to do something with it. So that would be the time to make the apology, step back, reevaluate, remove yourself from a situation, and begin again to forgive yourself and to move forward in what is true to you. Sometimes the situations that we need to forgive are dire. Sometimes people have done heinous things in our lives. They've caused us pain that's off the chart. And how do you forgive that? You forgive it by understanding that what they did is not going to make sense. You can't make sense out of nonsensical things. Sometimes people are unduly cruel because that's what's in them. It has nothing to do with you. That is what is in them. In order to extract yourself from the situation, you need to realize that you didn't do anything wrong. That's what's in them. If it wasn't you, it would have been someone else, because that is what is in them. Whatever opportunity or doorway that they saw, they went through it, they wreaked havoc, they did what they did, not because of you, but because that is what was in them. So when you come to the place of understanding that you may have seen some signs, and then you may not. They may have, as I said before in another teaching, sincerely sought to deceive you. And if that's the case, then forgive yourself and forgive them and allow yourself to be extracted from this situation and to move forward without the ties to that thing. Count it up as an experience that you needed in order to know what you need to know from this point forward in order to be true to you. I've also expressed this to you before, that sometimes you can go through an experience, and if something comes up that's similar, you begin to think back on it. Something about this is just not quite right. There's something that's making me think about another position that you may have been in, another situation that you may have been in that didn't turn out quite right. And I want you to look at that as being able to discern, to recognize a situation or a spiritual connection, one with the other. The new situation before you with that one in the past that didn't turn out the way you wanted it to. Connect those things, because that is a part of the system that brings about the knowledge that allows you to not continue to make the same mistakes over and over and over. If it walks like a duck, if it quacks like a duck, if it swims like a duck, it is a duck. But we have to have come and encountered that duck to understand the characteristics of what we're looking at today. If something doesn't feel right, it probably is not right. If you have to ask yourself questions in order to enter into a situation that have a negative context, why are they doing this? Why am I seeing this? Those are all red flags that your inner self, your intuition is telling you to release that and let it go. You can continue on in the path, but it may mean that you're going to have to take a harder path than necessary. You may make some mistakes. You may have to go back and redo some things. But when you are initially seeing something that you know just doesn't sit quite right, that is your signal to get up and get out and not worry about being true to that other person, but being true to who you innately are. Forgive them. Forgive yourself if you are in a situation that you know you should never have gotten into, and walk away, because we are at a place where, according to our calendar, we can make a change. We can move forward. We can start out with a different outlook for a new year. We can actually have a new year. And we can move forward being more than we ever thought that we'd be able to be. We have to first forgive them, let it go, cut the ties between you and the past, cut the ties between you and previous decisions that you may have made, cut the ties between you and some of the people that have been in your past. And it's not that you remove everyone, but look at the relationships as we enter into a new phase of our lives, just even if it's just a calendar phase of our lives, but to look into where we've been and determine whether what we've always done is what we want to do. What we've always had is what we want to have. Or do we really want to move forward into something that's new, something that will allow us to be all that we can be, that can allow us to be fulfilled from within? Or are we going to continue making excuses, staying where we are, being held back, sometimes by people who are intentionally trying to hold us back? Are we going to take this time and be true to ourselves, be true to that which God, Creator, Source, the universe has called us to do and to be? Are we going to allow another year to go by without fulfilling ourselves? Are we going to continue with the same excuses that we've always had as to why we can't, what's stopping us, and causes that we know are no longer applicable? Or can we utilize this time, be true to ourselves, and begin the preparation for our new year, making a decision as to what we want to do, planning out and visualizing ourselves as who we want to be, looking for new connections, new relationships, new opportunities to learn and to grow, looking at being able to better our lives, whether it be physically, spiritually, emotionally, socially, or financially, and then moving forward, doing that. You might be a little afraid, you may have a little apprehension, but will it outweigh the remorse that you have at the decisions that you've made up to this point? Let's move forward. Let's be true to ourselves. Let's change the way we think and have the courage to own our own thoughts and our behaviors. Let's forgive ourselves and others, and let's move forward into this new year. I hope that this has been a message that has resonated with you. Join me on Wisdom and also on FanBase. We're going to be doing some new things. I'm going to be launching our Diamond Journey journal very soon. And I want you to start out with me in this new year of being more than you ever thought possible. We have to forgive, we have to let go, and we have to move forward. Remember that becoming is a process, and that process has stages.